Okay, today we're going to go over fact families and how they help us solve equations such as 4/5 minus n equals 3/8. First off, before we begin, we must understand that a fact family is simply a set of related addition and subtraction sentences or multiplication and division sentences. If we've got one fact from the family, we can use it to write 3 more facts that are related to it. So let's practice that first before we get started. On this right here, I have a simple subtraction sentence. I have n minus a half equals 3/8. Since 3/8 is a positive value, I know that n is my larger number and therefore should be used at the beginning of my second subtraction fact. So my second subtraction fact would be that n minus 3/8 would equal 1/2. So now I have 2 subtraction sentences. My addition sentences that are related to it would be that I would have 1/2 plus 3/8 would equal n, because n is the largest value and therefore should be the answer to the addition of the other 2 numbers. And then the second addition fact would be that 3/8 plus 1/2 would equal n. So these 4 facts are a fact family. So let's take a look at how we can use these to solve equations. When we solve equations, we are trying to find a value for a variable. In this case, our variable was the letter n. We don't know what n stands for. We have 2 ways of solving this problem. We can subtract or add 1/2 to both sides and thus clearing out and getting the variable by itself, which would look very similar to this if we had n minus 1/2 equals 3/8. This was our original equation. We could, since we are subtracting a half from n, we would have to get the variable by itself. In order to do that, we would do the opposite operation to remove it from this side. Okay, and now since we did that, we would have to also add it to this side of the equal sign to keep our equation balanced. So 3/8 plus 1/2 would give us the answer that we're looking for. Well, since we have to have a common denominator when we add fractions, we know that 1/2 would be equal to 4/8. Okay, so I have 3/8 plus 4/8, which would equal 7/8. Okay, then I bring down my equal sign, and n would equal 7/8. When I replace n with 7/8, 7/8 minus a half, my answer should be 3/8. So I'm going to rewrite these using common denominators to demonstrate this. 7/8, my common denominator here would be 4/8, would equal 3/8. All right, so this is one way of solving it. The next way of solving it would be to turn this in using a fact family and putting the variable on the other side of n and just shifting it around like this, which is essentially the same thing as what I did over here in the purple, but it doesn't really look the same. I know that since every fact is part of a 4-fact fact family, that this subtraction sentence should also, or could also, be rewritten in addition with the variable on the other side of the equal sign. So one of these 2 facts would help me. Since I like addition better than subtraction, and addition is typically easier to solve than subtraction, I will pick one of these 2 to solve and still get the same answer. So 1/2 would be the equivalent of 4/8. 4/8 plus 3/8 would give us 7/8. And our n is still equal to 7/8. All right, so that's how we're going to use it. Let's go down and try a problem from the book just to kind of get a little bit more example on it. All right, so I'm going to take a look at A1 here. Going to scroll down here, and it says for each number sentence, write a complete fact family and then find the value of n. So I'm going to do A1. Okay, and before you come to class tomorrow, I want you to make sure that you have solved the rest of A. So I'm going to do A1 up here. A1. The fact is 5/10 minus 2/5 equals n. Okay, so that's the original fact. Now my first fact, I'm going to rewrite the subtraction. Okay, since my subtraction is here, okay, I know that my 5/10 has to stay as the larger value. It has to be what I am subtracting from. Well, that means that these two are going to switch places. So I'm going to subtract n from 5/10, and that should equal 2/5. Then I should have two addition sentences. And that simply, we need to move the larger number, which is 5/10, to the other side of our equation, which means it should now be the answer to the equation, which means these other two facts, 2/5 and our unknown variable n, are going to be the add-ins, or the numbers being added together. So the first addition fact that I'm going to write is 2/5 plus n equals 5/10, and the second fact would be n plus 2/5 equals 5/10. Now, looking at these four facts in this family, there's one of them that automatically puts the n where I need it, which is on the other side of the equation, and therefore solving the left side of the equation should give me the answer for n. And that fact is this one right here. N is on one side of the equation, and 5/10 minus 2/5 is on the other. So I'm going to use that one to solve for the n. So 5/10 minus 2/5. Okay, and again, when we subtract fractions, we have to have a common denominator. So I'm going to rewrite this as 5/10 minus, my 10 would be our common denominator. So that would make 2/5 equal to 4/10. And my answer is 1/10. Okay, so n equals 1/10. Now we should go back and double check this. Let's use an addition fact to double check. I'm going to use this addition fact, n plus 2/5 equals 5/10, to double check my work. So if I replace n as 1/10 plus 2/5, okay, 1/10, we're going to change that to, oh, not 1/10, I'm sorry. That is the wrong one to change. So I'll back up here a second, and we will say that 1/10 plus 2/5, okay, 2/5 would be rewritten as 4/10, okay? So 1/10 plus 4/10 would give us 5/10. All right, so n does truly equal 1/10. All right, go ahead and take a look at A2 and 3 before coming to class tomorrow. See you then.